No matter how much planning you do, there will be problems.
Do you ever feel like the stress of your business is leaking into your relationship?
As a team, we get everything done. We crush our goals.
The power couple on our podcast today has been married for over 30 years, raised 4 amazing kids, and are now proud grandparents living their dream life.
This is just human nature. If you ask anybody out in the world, do you deserve something better? Everybody's going to say yes.
What are 3 essential systems every couple must incorporate in their relationship immediately?
It's a big question.
Guys, do you ever feel like the stress of your business is leaking into your relationship? In today's episode, we are going to dive into the power of systems and how they can help your relationship thrive. The power couple on our podcast today has been married for over 30 years, raised 4 amazing kids, and are now proud grandparents living their dream life. She is a full-time coach, new author, and the systems genius behind their family-run business. He is a successful entrepreneur, attorney, and together they coach other couple-preneurs through a powerful system they created called Quarterly Ever After. Please welcome Bill and April Little.
Hey, hi.
It's so good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you guys here. How's your day going so far?
It's going well.
Well, it's doing
Awesome.
great. We're here doing this podcast in one of the offices in the law firm, which is kind of like home away from home. But it's a beautiful Friday evening in Texas, and we're excited to be on your podcast.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you guys here. How did you guys meet?
We actually met when Bill came to go to undergrad to Texas A&M, and we met on the stairs. He was, I think, going down, and I was coming up. I had a roommate that was dating one of the guys that was going to be his roommate. And so we met kind of very briefly on the stairs and was not necessarily love at first sight, but thought he was really cute. But yeah, it wasn't really love at first sight. I thought he had a girlfriend, but it was his sister. So
Well,
Well, and
it's
to take that story a little bit further, so I had a car, April had a car, and so I would give my roommate a ride over to her apartment so he could spend time with his girlfriend, and she would give her roommate rides over to my apartment so she could spend time with her boyfriend. And so we ended up hanging out a lot because we were the taxi service, and that's how we got to know each other better.
your roommates became the bridge for you guys.
Yeah,
I did, and actually they ended up getting married as well. So
Oh,
it was a
that's
good apartment.
incredible.
that's right. It was like the love apartment, I
Yeah,
guess.
Yeah, the love apartments.
yeah, yeah.
I was browsing through your profile and it was very fascinating, some of the things you've spoken about. But I wanted to start off with the point where systems became important in your relationship. And was there a moment that made you reflect back and say, this is important and we need to work on this?
The system that we work now is a system that we started working on about I think it's been about 6 years ago. And we started working on that system not at all on purpose. We weren't trying to even create a system. We were trying to binge as much information as we possibly could because we were starting in a new phase of our life where we were going to be fully entrepreneurial as a couple. So I've been an entrepreneur, most of our marriage. But all of my businesses were like side businesses because Bill was really, the one paying all the bills basically. So I had a lot of freedom and not a lot of pressure. But when we decided that we were going to build our own law firm, which meant no one else was going to be writing the paycheck, then we did some really serious like cramming. And it was really out of all of the books and the podcasts and the things that we were consuming ourselves that we would just take the best bits for ourselves, and it turned into this amazing, beautiful system that we still use today.
When you mentioned that, I was just thinking, when you have someone who's a couple move outside just being partners in a relationship and move into being partners in a business, you don't just you carry over the problems that are in your relationship into your business as well. And when you do something like that, having a set code, set system to work through it becomes so important because you know how each other responds, and it can become a pitfall that can just cause problems in your business. And
Yes, I would say that going into business, especially together, is it takes an entirely different level of communication, of relationship. We always say we take relationships to partnerships because you really do have to become partners. And it really, our system is beautiful in the sense that it really creates not just a business partnership but an actual life partnership as well, which a lot of relationships aren't really life partnerships, if you know what I mean. They're comfortable or they're familiar, but they're not really life partners. And so we really had to like step up our game, honestly, because there is a lot to it and it does create a whole different level of stress on the relationship.
Well, I'll approach it this way. So for many years, I was working in a big corporate law firm setting, and so working just crazy hours every week, 50 to 70 hours depending on the week. And so our lives were very much segregated into different compartments. So there was me and my career. I was over here just working all the time. April had her businesses that she was doing. And we had our family, of course, our children that we were very devoted to, and we would do that together. But very much you could put these areas of our lives in different silos, and that's how we lived for many years. And so here in the last, 5 to 6 years or so, when we made that decision to go full on entrepreneurial as a couple, as a family, we also figured out that siloing your life into different compartments, that's not the way to do it. So everything now we do together. And so we don't try to separate the personal, the relationship part of our lives versus the business part of our lives. We just try to intermingle as much as we can, all of that. And our system has allowed us to do that. So that has leveled up not only our business, but it's leveled up our relationship, which has been great.
that's incredible. That's incredible. When you guys were considering, starting a business together, was it a conscious decision that, we are going to be doing this? We need to have something that's going to hold this entire business together through systems. Or did one of you think about it and then bring it up in a conversation? What triggered it?
Really, no. I wish that we would have had that kind of foresight, but we just got almost lucky in a sense, because we built basically what happened is we built what we needed and it just happened to be a system, which makes so much sense to me now because I'm like a systems kind of obsessed now. But because systems, they create less effort, and more efficiency and effectiveness and less error. So systems are amazing, but I didn't really know that at the time, and we weren't trying to build a system. We were just trying to do the best that we could and get the best information and then use it the best way that we could. And it just turned into this like incredible system.
Were there ever situations where, you guys were working together and then something happened where it was like, whoa, this is a big pitfall that we didn't even consider? And firstly, how did you handle that situation? And if you're okay with it, you can speak about it. And then how did you go about, okay, this is the framework, this is how we need to create the system around it?
Can you think of one?
Well, I guess maybe I could approach it this way is that, and 4 years ago, I started the law firm and it was just me as the only, employee or the only attorney. I'll put it that way. April was every bit behind this whole endeavor, this business, and getting it started. And but it grew from those small, humble beginnings to the point now where we've got about 20 employees in the law firm, And it's just been an incredible thing and an incredible journey that, 4 or 5 years ago, this was something that April and I had talked about. We were envisioning our future and where we wanted to be with the business. And I will say that we have hit that mark in terms of the growth of the business, in terms of revenue and just personnel. And that has only been possible because of the system that we developed, that we've kind of evolved over time and have developed. But there have been so many hiccups and headaches
Crazy.
along the way. I mean, just like,
That's business.
yeah, that's business. And one thing that maybe your guests will appreciate hearing is that no matter how much planning you do for your business, there will be problems, and there will sometimes be big problems. But with systems, you can weather those storms. And I won't go into a lot of detail about it, but I'll just say that last year there was a massive problem that happened in the business, and we made it through just fine. I mean, we came out on the other end just fine, and stronger and better. And at the time, April and I were talking about it, reflecting on it, and we were just kind of in awe, frankly, that we made it through this most challenging time that the business has ever gone through. We made it through it, and we felt like we had our sanity. We felt like we were at peace with
Our
ourselves and with the
dignity.
business, and we felt like we were very
The team.
close and at peace with one another as
Yeah.
well. Which sometimes those big trials and struggles in your business, they can impact your relationship as well. And we look back on that, and we know without a doubt that we came out so well through that trying time because of the systems that we had in place, that we had been practicing week in and week out now for years, that helped us to weather the storm, if that makes sense.
And really, like Bill said, come out so even better than we went in, which is great. And I would also answer the question by saying the thing that has surprised me the most, I think, is that we've created several businesses now together, but the law firm is Bill's business ultimately. I don't have any ownership in the business because in the state of Texas I can't. And so it's his business, and then I have my business. And when we went into business together, in the same business where there wasn't an obvious single owner, that became much more complicated. And it was really interesting because again, we've been working the system for years by the time we tried to go into business like a business together with like dual ownership. And it made us level up yet again. It forced us to because there were new challenges that cropped up. But what's really cool again is that we've been working so hard on this system. So hard, it's not so hard, but we've been working on this system with this system for so long that it was able to like help us just overcome even those kinds of challenges. It was, a matter of making sure that we had our roles kind of defined and that our communication was even that much better. And so yeah, there's always going to be things that challenge you, but I think that is one of the really beautiful things about systems is that you always have them to fall back on, and they create that, like I said, they create that kind of consistency and efficiency that is so great.
Do the systems ever make it boring in the relationship?
No, not this one.
Yeah.
Not
No,
this one.
I definitely would never use the word boring for systems. Uh,
Well, not this.
well, if you understand what systems are, though, they are just tools.
Right.
And so, I mean, look at them for what they are. Now, they sometimes people get bored about just the thought of creating a system or the thought of implementing a system,
And I used to.
and there may be a little bit of truth in that as well. But if you appreciate the value of the system, that it is a tool that will make your life easier, then you can get excited about it.
Right. And you don't build systems that bore you. Build a system that excites you. We love
Yeah,
this system. This system is so exciting to us that now we want to share it with everybody else.
I think
So,
that's the difference.
yeah, don't build systems that are boring. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, I think you know, when you guys speak as well, I can see that how much you guys love your systems, and as you speak about it, the kind of appreciation you have, and that's why I asked this question, because there may be a person listening to this wondering, oh, this is so boring. I can't figure out why we would ever do this, and that's where the question came up from. When let's take an example where you have a couple, they're working together, they have a business together, and let's take a very simple example that one of them, hypothetically, the husband, he's supposed to do the paperwork and he's supposed to get it done. There's an important deadline coming up, it got missed. How does the couple realize that there's something? How do they analyze this entire situation? How would they go in thinking, okay, yes, there's an issue with the system here, without taking it personally, and how do they go about creating the system? Just, it's a micro example, and I just wanted to see if we can flesh that out.
No. Well, um, so any couplepreneur is going to have these kind of issues come up week after week after week, and that includes us as well. And there are times when we miss something that should have been done. That's just human nature and
In life.
life. We're juggling everything, and so I think to deal with that situation, the way that we handle it is that part of our system is we have weekly planning sessions. So we're looking ahead at what needs to be done the next week. We're also looking kind of backwards about
Didn't work.
what worked or didn't work, or what did we do or not get to for the past week. And then it's a support and accountability combination. So we're able to support one another, not only in my business, her business, or our business together, but we're supporting one another in all of these things. So again, going back to what I said earlier, we don't silo or segregate our businesses anymore. If I have something that's in the law firm that I'm dealing with, which is all the time, then we talk about those in our planning sessions. And April will ask me, okay, so here's the list for this coming week. What can I do to help you with any of this, if anything? And sometimes maybe the answer is, well, there's probably nothing you can do on this or this or this, but you know what? You could help me with this or that. And that's the same for her business. And certainly as that also applies to the business that we have together. So I think that just having that kind of built-in support and accountability system, that is a major part of the system that we use and the system that we teach other couplepreneurs. That for me has been the key that's made all the difference.
And I think too, we are very aware and we really teach our couples as well that you're a team. Like this is not he does, him against her. If it is, you're done from the start. We're a team. And so if my teammate, if we were playing soccer together and my teammate missed the ball, I would just run up and do my part, right? I'm not gonna berate him, for missing the ball. We all do it sometimes. We're just all human. And so as a team, we get everything done. We crush our goals. We're not concerned so much with, he missed something, that means he whatever. We don't assign stories or things like that. And again, I think that weekly meeting that Bill spoke of, it gives us that opportunity for very pointed communication, very purposeful communication, and to set the goals and to set the expectations and the roles and the, tasks for the week. And then we each do the best we can. Going, for the big goal, which is like the dream life that we're trying to create. And whenever someone drops the ball, whether it's me or whether it's him, that next week when we get together, we try to help each other pick the ball up, or we punt it to the other person, or whatever has to happen. But we're in the same team and we're going for the same goal, so we don't fight about nonsense like that, you know, and that's kind of one of the big rules in even trying to work the system from the get-go is you got to know and you got to commit that you are on the same team and you're going for the same thing.
Interesting. So the system, rather the weekly meeting that you spoke about, how do you guys go about it?
So the way
So,
that we do it
so
is,
yeah,
yeah, well, it's we have found that it's important to go to a place where you can really concentrate on each other and on what is going on in your life and in your business. And so, for example, if you had a very kind of noisy home with other people
Kids.
there, kids or other people, then you might want to go find a quiet place somewhere where you can have some distraction-free time. So for us, this has kind of been our tradition. It's just kind of this way. But we do a lot of our meetings in the car, and we'll go drive to like a city park, find some shade, park under the shade, and we'll do it in the car. Or we'll come to the law firm and we'll do it here in the conference room, for example. But sometimes, where I am, she both are here a lot during the week, so we might want to go someplace different, even
Right.
just to feel like a kind of a fresh perspective and a new outlook.
And we have clients that go to coffee shops together, you know, instead of the coffee shop, or I mean, just all kinds, or they do it on their date night, you know, over the dinner table, or it's really just however it works for whichever
for
couple.
them.
But the
Yeah.
kind of key is to go somewhere where you have some uninterrupted time and uninterrupted focus so that you can just really focus in on each other.
So that's
Yeah,
one big
that's
key. Another big key is keep a written record. So it's almost like you're keeping minutes. So
Yeah.
I've got a little electronic, tablet where I can write down my notes, and it's always there. I mean, in fact, I can go back in that same tablet and look back over the last five
Years.
years and
Yeah.
see all of our notes from all these meetings because they're organized that way.
Yeah.
And so keep a written record so you remember what it is that you discussed because these meetings are important. These meetings are meant to move the needle forward in your life and in your business. And so during that meeting, you're identifying what's coming up for the week that you have to do. And this also ties into a bigger part of our system, which is we have a quarterly retreat, a couples retreat, where we get away. I mean, we like go to another town or it could be a staycation somewhere close, but you can even travel further away if you want to.
We've gone out of the country, we've gone out of state, we've stayed in town. Like it really, it's just again about getting completely away from your life, whatever your life is at the time,
Yeah, just for a weekend.
together for a
Yeah.
weekend.
And when we do that, though, we're planning the quarter. So we're planning the quarter ahead and we're looking back at the quarter that just ended. And so this is really the kind of the linchpin to the system is we're planning a quarter at a time. That's why it's called quarterly ever after. So we're planning a quarter at a time. And then once we have that quarter planned out during that couples retreat that we can retreat, we come back into our life and then we're meeting weekly to move the needle forward on those quarterly goals.
Right. Always referencing back to what we planned for the quarter
Yeah.
that's
So
super
you do
cool.
that for a few quarters and you can see how you're crushing it.
and
Yeah.
why it's not boring.
Yeah, that's super cool. Are there questions that you keep in your mind? Okay, these are kind of the questions that will help us keep moving us forward, or is it more on the go? Okay, this is what's coming up for me.
Bit of both. When we teach, I wish I had my paperwork in front of me, but when we teach, it's like a review. What's new? So a review of last week, what's new for this week, and how can I help you? So it's sort of like a rhyme review. What's new? How can I help you? And so that's kind of like the ongoing format. It's always very similar, but then of course the conversation is always vastly different depending on the week. Like if you were to, you know, have seen us last year around this time when we were dealing with that huge, you know, catastrophe, if you will, then our meetings were very long, and that was the predominant topic in the meeting, was how to move past this and what do we need to do next, and all of that kind of thing. And then some weeks it's just pure, like a lot of it is celebration of what happened the week before and how we crushed whatever we were going after, and things like that. So it's a very different conversation every time, but the overall kind of setup of the meeting is pretty much the same.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. As just for the audience, make sure to check out their quarterly planner that they were just speaking about. But also, April, you've written a new book. Who is
Oh,
the
I did.
book for?
So
And
here, I
tell
actually
us
have
more
it
about
right
it.
here. Look at that. It's
Yeah,
right
look
there.
at
So
that.
I wrote a book. It's called The Me First Paradox, and the subtitle is An Invitation to Live, Love, and Lead as Yourself. And it's really, I was discussing with some women last night about what the book was and why I wrote the book. And the book is really my sort of like love letter to womankind. It came about because I had, over Christmas break this past year in 2024, I saw a lot of posts from a lot of friends of mine or just acquaintances that I'd known for, over the years, just on social media. And they were women that were going through really big transitions in their lives. Some were getting divorced after many, many years being married. Some of them were kind of mourning that time when they were about to be empty nesters and their last child was about to go off to college, and just a lot of big transitions in life. And there was a really overwhelming sense that they had lost their entire identity because they had lost this role. And it just made me so incredibly sad. And so this is like my way of like a giving the biggest giantest hug and being as much of a coach I can be to literally every woman in the world as much as possible. And it's really just about reclaiming yourself and the benefit that you bring to the world when you actually come into the world as your whole healthy self. So yeah.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Well,
Something
AJ,
else that I.
I'll just add too and say that I mean she wrote it kind of with women in mind, but most, if not all, the principles in the book apply equally to men too. So
Totally. And
Okay.
it doesn't speak directly to women exactly in the book, but like if you're a dude and you can carry around this pretty pink book, then you you know what?
more
It's
power
for
to
you
you.
too, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think usually a lot of these principles can be applied to most people. Most people can learn from them. It's usually the nitty gritties that you need to kind of fine tune and work through them for yourself. So that's something to take away. Something that I was very intrigued about as I was walking through the stuff you've posted on your profile is you guys spoke about every couple should have something that they're working together on. Why do you feel that way? And how would that help them?
Well, I mean personally, I believe that's important because I think this is just human nature. We're always searching, we're always wanting to level up. I mean, if you ask anybody out in the world, do you want something better? Or do you deserve something better? Are you searching for something better? Everybody's going to say yes. Yes, I do want something better. Even if they have a relatively good life, everybody still wants to level up and do better. We always want better for our children, for example. We want better for our grandchildren. And so I think it's important that as a couple, you're always striving for something bigger and better because it just keeps that passion. It keeps the interest there. It keeps the passion there, and it also keeps you anchored to one another. And so that has been a very important aspect of our marriage and our relationship. It has helped us to kind of level up and to keep life exciting. And one of the principle that I think is illustrated here is that there's always growth through the struggle. So many times people they kind of shy away from doing the hard things. Like starting a business is a hard thing. It's not easy by any means. And the vast majority of small businesses across the country, they fail within the first 2 years. I mean, the stats are staggering on that. And so many people shy away from it because it's a scary thing to do. And that can be said about lots of things in life, not just starting a business, but lots of things in life we don't ever try to do because we're scared of failure. And we have found that failure is just an opportunity
The stepping
to
stone.
to move forward to something better. And because there's always so much learning and growth, even when you fail, you're learning and you're growing. And frankly, as a couple, if you're always learning and growing together, you're going to be drawn
Very
together.
bonded.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And I think too that, I mean, it really just is kind of speaking to what he was saying, but like the natural path of a marriage tends to kind of be, and I know you've probably seen this 1,000 times, we all have, that as it progresses and as, especially if you have children, and as those children kind of age out and they start like leaving the nest and whatnot, couples tend to very much deviate in their paths. And so it's kind of like what he was talking about in some ways how we lived when we had a younger marriage. Is like he had this part of his life that I really wasn't involved in, and then I had this part of our life that he wasn't very involved in. And so I think that's just very natural in marriages and in the human experience. And so, as marriages, especially again as they age, they tend to just go in different directions. And then you hear people say things like, we grew apart, or we fell out of love, or things like that. But when you have things that you're working on together and that you're both really, really passionate about, when you have a shared vision for the life that you're trying to create, then you become that powerful team, and your marriage actually grows closer and closer and closer. And especially once your kids kind of start leaving the nest, this has been our experience. So we still have a son at home, but he's a teenager, he's an older teenager. And we definitely saw that as our children kind of started leaving the nest, that actually left a lot more time for us, and for us. And so it's been amazing. But if we didn't have things that we were working on together, I just don't think that's really how it would have gone. So that is super, super important.
It seems like if you don't have that, it's very easy, especially in your later part of your life, to just drift away because it seems like until you're in that stage, you have the kids, you have something that you're trying to build together. And then
That
once
is
that phase is over, it's almost easier to just be by your own. And unless you bring that intentionality in, it becomes very difficult to have that part. And when you have that intentionality, it seems like it also helps you grow together. And you probably also end up discovering new parts of your partner because when you have kids, you're so busy, you're running through, you have your focus here, and then suddenly now you have time to focus somewhere else and appreciate your partner again, learn more about them, and grow again with them.
yes, absolutely. You said it perfectly.
Final question for you guys. What are three essential systems that you feel every couple must incorporate in their relationship immediately?
Ooh, it's a big question.
Well, I'll kick it off by giving the first one. I think you need a system that whatever it is, you can adjust it to your circumstances, but a system that brings you together on a regular basis and you're communicating. You're communicating about your life, about your relationship, about what the struggles and the trials are, and also about what your goals and your vision is together. But communication, uh, we have discovered through many years of trial and error, we have discovered that it really is the key that drives the engine forward, that drives the relationship forward, that can overcome challenges and overcome problems. Is how well do you communicate together and how often do you communicate? Because a lot of busy couples out there, yes, they talk, they may talk daily, but it's not really communicating.
Right, right.
And so you've got to find a system that works for you that carves out quality time to truly communicate about some important issues, sometimes some very challenging issues as well. But that will just bless your marriage, your relationship. It'll bless your family. It'll bless your business.
And I would add to that kind of system creates a proactive communication rather than a reactive communication, because a lot of
Right.
couples have a very reactive communication style. So they'll call a meeting when things have started to go wrong. And at that point, everybody's already, somebody's in defensive mode and somebody's in offense, you know what I mean? Like, and you're not playing on the same team. So when you have a system for communication, for regular communication and frequent communication, it puts you in a much more proactive mode so that you like knock things out before they ever become real issues. And
Yeah.
I think that's so, so key. I would also say another like kind of mini subsystem that I think every couple should have. It has totally changed our relationship and it's just been so much fun, is something like a quarterly retreat. I think every couple should have like a we're going away this many times a year. And again, this does not have to be fancy. It does not have to be expensive. You could have a family member or a support system that just removes your kids from your house and you could stay in your own home if you need to. But you can find a way, no matter what your budget is, to do this. But I feel like this right here has been such a big, big key for us just growing closer to as a couple and being able to dream together. And I think that that's something that just gets so easily lost in this kind of day-to-day world where we kind of like get into survival mode and that kind of thing. Is it's so important to have dreams and goals, and sometimes we go on and on and on and on for months and sometimes years without ever taking a second to put our head up and breathe and like do that dreaming and that scheming together. And when you make sure and set a system, whatever that system, again, whatever that looks like for you, if it's once a year, if it's twice a year, whatever it is, um, going away together as a couple on a regular basis, super, super, super beneficial.
Awesome.
What would you say
Do
those
you
are?
guys have one more?
Well, I was going to say the importance of actually dreaming, like
I and goal
envisioning
setting.
your yeah, and just having a vision for your future. So April kind of touched upon that. She kind of combined two, I think,
Mm-hmm.
two systems in the one there. But if you want to break that out just for a second, uh, to April's point, there are many times, and I'm guilty of this myself, where you're head down, you're so busy with your career, whatever you're doing, that you forget that you need to step back and say, wait a minute, what
What
life
am I
do I
building?
really want to
Yeah.
have here? So here's a for example from my own life. Is that for many, many years I worked in the big corporate law firm life, and the the pathway, the recognized and the acknowledged pathway to success was you grind it out, you put in your time, you put in a lot of sweat equity, which means billable hours, working long weeks, and you do that for enough years, then you'll make partner. That's kind of the path. Well, what they don't tell you is that if you just accept that and do that, you may come away not having a marriage anymore because many attorneys end up divorced, I think, for this very reason.
Right.
And then you also may not make partner either. You may have invested all these years working so many hours helping somebody else fulfill their dream life that you've missed the boat on your dream life. And so what we've discovered is that one, it's not too late. You haven't missed the boat. You can still start today wherever you are and start building your dream life together.
But you have to have a dream life
Yeah.
first.
But take the time to actually
Yeah.
dream and figure out what is it that I really want in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years from now. And having that very vivid vision for what we wanted was important to our overall system, because without that direction of where you're going, then what good is I mean, what good are these other systems out here that can take you there.
Yeah, so we basically say that having that kind of vision for your life, or having those long-term goals, it's like setting the destination in your GPS. Then your GPS can tell you how to get there. But otherwise, I mean, where are you going? What are you trying to do? And then you're just honestly, I mean, that is not a life. A life is something that you intentionally create. Otherwise, you're surviving, you're just, getting from paycheck to paycheck or whatever. That's not a life. And we wanted to build a life, a real life. And so that was really where we started, was with that, bigger vision for what exactly it was that we wanted and what we were going to create. And I wish that we would have known what we know now when we were younger in a lot of ways, because I think we probably we'd have killed it. Like we'd be even like way further along than we are. But now that's what's so fun about this though now for us, is that we get to teach this. We get to teach this to couples that are brand new and just starting out, and we get to teach this to couples who are even older than us, and it works for everybody. And no matter what stage you're in, you can create the life that you want.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been an incredible conversation. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
AJ.
much
We
for the
appreciate it. And we
invitation.
appreciate it. It's nice to meet you. And thank you for the opportunity to just talk a little bit about ourselves and our systems and our love for them.
Yes. And also so
Uh,
fun, all of our connections that we have, our personal connections. That's super fun.
absolutely. Absolutely.